What is up, boys and girls? I'm Gunnar, this is Misplaced Minis, and you are welcome. Today, we're going to be testing Siraya ABS-like fast resins in our HeyGears Reflex RS Turbo in our 50 Shades of Funnest Color Gray. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first, affiliations. We have none. Siraya doesn't sponsor this channel, hasn't sponsored this video, didn't send us anything for free, and really doesn't even know we exist. Everything I've used for this video has been purchased with my own money for the sole and altruistic purpose of giving you a starting point for using third-party resins in your HeyGears system so you don't have to waste your money and you can waste mine instead. For those of you that follow the 3D printing hobby at all, you've probably heard the name Siraya. They produce a variety of resins for all different applications in a variety of different colors as well. Almost all of these are available on Amazon. You can get them fairly quickly and fairly cheap, and they're honestly pretty good quality resins overall. Another big win for this company, in my opinion, is that they've done independent research for printing in HeyGears printers, specifically the Reflex RS and the Reflex 2. Both of those will be pinned in the comment down below. Check them out. It's a great starting point for using Siraya resins in your HeyGears printers. These are always what I use as my starting point for conducting tests, and even this test I've started with the PAWW10 profile as recommended, henceforth referred to as PAW10 for ease and because I'm lazy. And I've used my standard test template for this test as well. This includes 3 minis and 1 HeyGears test plate, which comes with the blueprint software in the default folder. It's a great test to show dimensional accuracy and also really shows the detail level capable in the HeyGears system. Our first model is this beautiful sculpt that comes from One Page Rules, not sponsored by them, but I'm a big fan of what they produce. This is a scout-like model. It has a lot of detail, which I think really shows what you can get out of your system, as well as it has this cup that is probably a soup cup, but I like to think of it as a recaf cup because that makes sense to me. In addition, we have another beautiful sculpt that comes from Puppets War. This is one of my favorite providers of 3D STL proxies for the Warhammer community. This one comes in the starter pack. Doesn't really have a name, so I'm going to call him Sam because he looks like a Sam. The thing that I think impresses me the most about their minis is they've kind of shucked off the round armor that is so prevalent within the space and is mostly reminiscent of the Warhammer 40K genre, and they've gone to more angular armor, which gives it a lot of depth. It still reads as your favorite space grunt game piece, but it has a different aesthetic that's very unique as well. Check them both out. They're pinned in the comments below. Can't go wrong with either one of those. We also have a Space Viking-esque head from Grey Tide Studios. This one I really like because it's very detailed and very nuanced, and it will really show you if you're getting the most out of your printer. Okay, so how do I run my test prints? Well, to start off, I make 4 sets of all 3 of these minis. I do one pre-supported, which is why I like taking minis from different creators, because you get a different pre-support pattern. I will then do one in what is considered the standard auto support, where I auto-generate supports, and the only thing I change is round supports to straight supports. I then reduce the contact support diameter and depth by 0.02 millimeters each. This can be done in the advanced settings in Blueprint Studio. As you can tell, this will take it down to 0.15 and 0.22 millimeters and 0.13 and 0.20 millimeters respectively for your support contacts. I see a lot of creators out there taking third-party resins and just plugging in PAS10 or PARP10 and getting results. And whereas you will get results, you're probably going to get slightly over-cured prints because those resin profiles have slightly higher layer times than some of the other more nuanced resin profiles in here. You can use PARP10 to cure Siraya ABS-like resins, but it's kind of like cooking chicken. You don't want to undercook it and get sick, but overcooking it can have not so great results either. To me, putting it on PARP10 is kind of like cooking it to about 400 degrees. Yeah, you're not going to get sick, but it isn't exactly going to be delicious either. My goal is always to get the supports as small as possible without having print failures. That is why I run multiple sets in different support contact diameters and depths to give you a good overall sense of how small you can make the supports and how easy the cleanup's going to be without running into dimensional accuracy, elongation, or other failures that come from not having enough support. Now, I will say that the ABS-like Fast Gray has a lot of things going for it, but the thing that is its greatest strength is also, ironically, its greatest weakness, and that is its viscosity and its opacity. The fast gray viscosity is very, very low, which means it flows incredibly easy. This is great for cleanup because as soon as you hang it, a majority of the resin that has not cured is going to run off the prints. This reduces the amount of resin you waste because if you hang it prior to removing it from your printer, which I highly recommend you do, the vast majority of excess resin is going to run back into your vat. This means when you put it in IPA or whatever cleaning solution you use, far less resin is going to come off the print and into the IPA. This is going to extend the life of your cleaning product and make cleaning up much, much easier. This lower viscosity comes from less pigment density within the resin, which is good because it allows for light to come through cleaner and not be refracted by resin pigment. So you're going to get cleaner resin prints with this, but at the same time, there's some drawbacks. The first is, and this may be a silly thing, but it's a review and I'm going to tell you everything, is that the translucency or the amount that you can see through the print once it's printed is much higher than you usually get with higher viscosity resins. Why is that a problem? Well, once you've cured the resin and you've cleaned it up and you're looking at it, it's much harder to see detail in the resin because of the translucent property of the resin. Now, in all honesty, once you prime it, this doesn't matter because all that detail shows up after the paint or the primer goes on. The problem I have is that when you print a lot or when you get parts and you put them in a bin, when you pull them out to look at them to decide what you want to use, if you can't really see the detail, you're less likely to use that part because you're not really sure what you're going to get. And you don't want to find out after priming that you don't really like the details that it has on it. If that's not a problem for you, great. And honestly, it's not terrible. You're going to see it in some of the examples. But for me, I like just a little bit more opacity in my resins so I can see more of that detail immediately after the print is cured. And for that reason, you'll notice that I have reviews from before it's primed and after it's primed to show you the difference in the detail recognition of the resin itself. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the prints. This HeyGears test plate came out almost perfectly. Very clean, very crisp, very detailed. The only issue, if you can even call it that, is one of the vertical columns came out a little bit off as far as orientation. Other than that, 100% good. These two minis are the pre-supported versions, and as you can tell, almost no visible support marks left on them. Everything was put in a place that is very hard to tell even when it isn't sanded down. You can see a couple there, but they are in positions where you're not really gonna see them anyways. And once you sand them, you'll be fine. Very, very clean. You can see the detail even through the opacity. The Scout also was a great pre-supported print. There were a few layer lines visible in the coffee cup, but I'm pretty sure when we put some paint, you're not even going to be able to tell. Other than that, it came out phenomenally. A little bit of sanding and this thing will be good to go. The head also, you can tell it's so small, I almost can't get it in focus, but it still has amazing detail. You can see every aspect of that head and face. It's incredible. All right, now let's look at the auto-supported ones. These are on the lowest support structure sizing at 0.13 depth and 0.20 width. You can tell that, yeah, there are still some struts there that I haven't taken off, and there are some support marks in more conspicuous places. For example, Sam has them on the hat right there and underneath the gun barrel. You can see some. They are going to take a little bit more sanding maybe to be visually a little cleaner than the pre-supported ones, but for an auto support, it's still really, really good. These are the standard ones. These are the ones that are 0.17 and 0.24, a little bit bigger. So you're going to have a little bit bigger support marks. But again, it's really not that bad when you consider how small these minis are. And a little bit of cleanup is going to go a long way to making these things look just great. The 0.15 and 0.22 I didn't even record because they're basically just right in the middle. Now, if you look after priming, that detail is so much more apparent. Look at the face, the chest plate, the grenades, the gun, like every aspect of it just looks great. Yeah, I know I did a half-assed job priming it. So what? It is what it is. You can still see the support marks there. So you are going to have to clean it up if you really want to get that beautiful, clean look. And if you can see those layer lines on that model, please comment below, because my old eyes, even with magnifying glass, could not see any layer lines after it was painted. I mean, look at the head. Where were the layer lines? I don't know. They're just not there. but the head looks amazing, clean, the details there, the banding, the ribbing on the cables, unbelievably detailed. Okay, now it's time to give this resin a grade on the PAW 10 profile. We're going to break it down into 5 categories: visual detail, actual detail, failures, ease of support removal and cleanup, and ease of use overall. So for visual detail, I give it a 7 out of 10. This is due in large part to the translucent properties that I talked about earlier, and also the overall gloss of it, making it kind of hard to see the details without painting the resin, or at least priming it. For actual detail, it's 10 out of 10. You can see after it's primed, the detail is there. It's very clean, very crisp, and the layer lines that we saw under the magnifying glass are no longer there with a single coat of primer. Failures, 10 out of 10 there too. Didn't have any failures across the entire plate. No issues with anything, missing parts, being misshaped, or in any other way failing. So ease of support, removal, and cleanup, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I want to give it more, but the fact that it was just so hard to get those supports off, that kind of detracted. I did end up having to soak it in hot water to get the supports off, which does help, but you also have to be careful with that because that also softens up the rest of the resin. It makes it easier to break your models when trying to get the supports off. That coupled with the fact that it left a lot of support marks when it was all said and done, and obviously those need to be cleaned up as well. That sanding, that scraping, that's extra time you have to put into it. It's 5 out of 10. And ease of use, that's 10 out of 10. That's how easy is it to work with the resin, how well does it run off the plate, how well does it run off the models, and basically how easy is it to clean it up, to work with it, and to not make a mess. And due to the very low viscosity of this, definitely a 10 out of 10. So your total score for Siraya Tech's ABS-like Fast Gray on the PAW 10 setting is 42 out of 50. Let me know in the comments if you want me to try a different resin profile, and I'll do that as well. And at this point, I do want to say I ran into kind of an anomaly during this test. So I have printed with the Siraya Tech Fast ABS Light Gray before, and I've had great results using the PAW 10 profile. But for some reason, after I got the PRM and the heated vat, it seems to be overcuring just a little bit in the PAW 10 profile. This is new, and I don't know if this has maybe something to do with my settings or if something has changed. But the supports were definitely a little bit more cured than I'm used to. This resulted in a little bit more challenge removing it from the supports, and by no means did it ruin it. It just wasn't as clean as I would have liked. And as always, we appreciate your support and we hope you got something out of it. I'm Gunnar, this has been a video, and we'll catch you in the next one.